Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few.
Those undying words by the British wartime Prime Minister, Sir Winston Churchill, ring down into our time as a plaintive reprise, paying tribute to those airmen who bravely stood up to the Nazi foe. 2015 marks a significant milestone in the history of Canada, Great Britain, and the Royal Canadian Air Force. It is the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. Fought between July and October 1940, the battle was the opening phase of Hitler's plan to gain air superiority over the United Kingdom before launching an invasion. Prime Minister Winston Churchill and the Allies gathering around his leadership had other ideas. The Bulldog Prime Minister declared in the British House of Commons on the eve of the battle,
Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose the war. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty. So bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
Poles, Czechs, French, and Belgian expatriates who fled to Britain formed ground and air crews in the common effort against the Nazis. They are absorbed into the Royal Air Force and were soon joined by their partners in the Commonwealth from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. They too were augmented by volunteers from the United States and the Republic of Ireland. Hundreds of Canadian ground and air crew fought in the battle with the Royal Air Force, 110 and 112 Canadian Army Cooperation Squadrons, and with the RCF's No. 1 Fighter Squadron. Although not officially a bilingual unit, No. 1 Fighter Squadron was made up of a large percentage of Quebecois in addition to other Canadians from across the country. 3 members of No. 1 Fighter Squadron received the Distinguished Flying Cross for their efforts during the battle. Squadron Leader Ernie McNabb, Flight Lieutenant Gordon Roy McGregor, and Flying Officer Dal Russell. Canadians also fought in the Royal Air Force's 242 All-Canadian Squadron, as well as those who joined the RAF before the war and were known as the Can RAFs. Others served with bomber and coastal commands, providing support to operations to prevent the German invasion. And an untold number served as ground crew, keeping the fighters flying. Replacing experienced pilots throughout the battle had been a significant challenge, especially in the early days. The last 10 days in August 1940 had cost Fighter Command 231 pilots, or almost 1/4 of the command's initial strength. 60% of those casualties were experienced flyers who could only be replaced by inexperienced graduates of operational training units. As the Battle of Britain ended, the first young pilots, observers, and gunners were emerging from the schools of the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan in Canada. Soon, their tide would be in full flood. More than 100 Canadian flyers directly engaged the enemy over the skies of England. 23 lost their lives out of a total of 544 Allied pilot casualties. Some historians describe the epic air battle, which involved almost 3,000 Allied air crew, as the turning point of the Second World War. The victory gave hope to a demoralized Britain, her Commonwealth allies, and those living under Nazi-dominated Europe. It was the first battle to be fought and won purely by air power. The Allied victory allowed Britain to remain in the war and become the springboard for the invasion of Normandy and the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. On September 20th, the Royal Canadian Air Force will celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. RCF personnel at wings and cenotaphs across the country, and those on operations overseas, will commemorate the sacrifices made by those personnel who, for the first time, helped stem Germany's advance. In honor of the few who gave so much, we salute their service and sacrifice.